My name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GMAT. We have been solving GMAT math problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 13th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 177. Page number 177, the very last problem in the first column, number 177. And today's so it's page 177 and problem 177. And today's lesson number 199. It is a fairly complicated algebra problem. And when you come across an algebra problem like this in the exam, as you know from past experience, what we do is to plug in numbers. We use a technique called plugging in. We plug in numbers for all the variables, and thereby we convert a fairly complicated algebra problem, as I said, into a very simple, very straightforward arithmetic problem. That's what plugging in techniques allows us to do. Plugging in technique converts an algebraic problem into an arithmetic problem. That is precisely what we're going to do here. Because if you try to do it with the algebra, it can be done, but you have to be very good at algebra, and there are very high chances that you will end up making one of those predictable mistakes that they expect you to make. And if you end up making one of those predictable mistakes, what you have to understand, I'm breaking into a big time sermon here, what you have to understand is that there are 5 answer choices. Out of the 5 answer choices, one is the right answer. What is the purpose of the other 4 answer choices? Where are they coming from? The other 4 answer choices are not falling from the sky. They are the 4 most popular mistakes done by people who try to solve the problem in the classical manner, traditional manner, orthodox manner, in algebraic way, in the classical sense, as I said. Don't do that. Plug in numbers. Keep your life simple. Plugging in numbers allows you to go faster, it's easier, and you are far less likely to end up falling in one of those predictable mistakes trap. Because if you end up making one of those 4 most popular mistakes, if you end up making one of those four most popular mistakes, you will never know that you made a mistake, because your answer is going to match exactly the answer choice, one of the answer choices that they give you. And you will never know that it was wrong. Don't go that route. Enough said, okay? So here's what we're going to do. This problem deals with percentage increases. When we're dealing with percentage increases, it's always a good idea to plug in something that is a multiple of 100 or 100 itself. So we're going to pretend that the price of the stock to start out with is 100. We're going to pretend that it went up by k%. Let's make it 10%. So far the price of the stock is 100, k equals 10. Earning per share, pretend that we had $10 per share in earnings, and that amount, earning per share, let's pretend that it has gone up by 5%. Because they tell you in the problem that k has to be more than m. In the problem, they specifically tell us that the percentage increase in the price of the stock has to be more than the percentage increase in the earnings per share. Where do they tell you that? Where k is greater than m, you see? So that's what it is. That's why we're plugging in 10 for k and 5 for m. So here's where we stand before we actually start our work. Here's where we stand. Here's our initial price. Here is our new price, p0. This is read as p0, as in not, as in nothing, as in cipher, as in 0. p0, and here's the p1. So p0 to start out with was 100. We're pretending that the initial price is $100, and then what happened? We're pretending that it went up by 10%. Well, if it went up by 10%, the new price is 110. The initial earning, we are plugging in 10 for that, so let's call it initial earning E0, which was $10, and then the new earning is going to be 5% more than that. 5% of $10, I just realized, is not something I want to deal with. I don't like that, so we're going to go back and fix it. That's how it goes. When you plug in numbers, if in the middle of the process it turns out the numbers that you plugged in are not working out very nicely, you can either modify the number itself or you can change the number entirely. So I'm going to modify it. Instead of price of stock being 100, I'm going to pretend it is 1,000, 10% increase. It will still be a 10% increase, sorry. It will still be a 10% increase. So k remains 10. K still remains 10. M still remains 5. But let's pretend that the earning per share to start out with was 100. So it was $1,000. The initial price was $1,000 of the stock. It went up by 10%. 10% of 1,000 is 100, so it became 1,100. The earning per share was $100 to begin with. Instead of $10, earning was $100 to begin with, because it's easy to do the 5%, and it becomes 105. Are you with me so far in the story? Now we are ready to start our process. Now we are ready to do our process. So what was the initial ratio? The initial ratio, let's call it R with subscript 0. So R naught, initial ratio was simply the initial price over the initial earning, which was $1,000 over $100. So that was the initial ratio. What happened to the new? What happened to the ratio? The new ratio, let's call it R with subscript 1, is equals to, it would have looked nice if I had lined up everything properly. The new ratio is equal to R1, which is the new price over the new earnings. And the new price is $1,100 because the price has gone up by 10%. So it's 1,100 over 105. Now watch what happens. Okay, this is where the tricky part comes in, and this is where the little bit of creativity comes in. Okay, I need the room so we can erase all of this on the top. So one more time, the initial price we're pretending is $1,000. That price went up by 10%. So P naught comes here, $1,000. K is 10. Let's make a note of it here because we're going to need it. K equals 10, and we have plugged in M equals to 5. M equals to 5. Let's make a note here because I'm about to erase it. And then final price was $1,100 because we went up by 10%. Initial earning per share was $100. Now it has gone up by 5%, making it 105. So far, so good. So this is our final ratio. Let's make a note of it up here. The new ratio, R1 is 1,100 over 105. Watch what happens. 1,100 can be written as 1,050 plus 50 over 105. 1,050 plus 50, of course, is 1,100. But what is 1,050 over 105? 1,050 over 105, are you able to see that this is simply 1/10? 1/10 is what we started out with before. This should say, not 1/10 rather, or rather 10. This is just 10. This amount, 1,050 on the top, 1,050 is 10 times 150. If you have 150 times 10, it's 1,050. So this equals to 10. Which is what we started out with. The initial ratio was 10 right here, which means the change is this part. Change is 50 over 150 over 105. Voila! That is the change, 50 over 105. So therefore now, I need a lot of room, so I'm going to have to erase everything now. So now, here's the question. The question boils down to this. This is what the question boils down to. The question boils down to this quantity, 50 over 105, which is the change in the ratio. This quantity is what percent of the initial ratio, which we know is 10. In other words, 10 over 50 is what percentage of 10. That's what the question is asking, because the question is asking by what percentage did the ratio go up. But we don't know by what percentage by a ratio went up, but we do know the ratio went up by this much amount. We just have to figure out what that amount is as a percentage of 10. So let's convert it. So 50 over 105 means equal. What means? The unknown x, percent means over the 100. That's what percent means. The word percent literally means per 100, over 100. Of means times the initial amount, which is 10. We just have to solve for x. Let's do it on the top here. Let's do it on the top, this part right here. So this equation, I'm not going to do all the baby steps, I'm going to leave it up to you. X boils down to 50 times 100. This 100 is going to come on the other side, and then it's going to be 105 times 10. 105 times 10. This 10 can cancel out with this thing, and we are left with, on the top we are left with 5 times 100 over 105. That's our final answer. Now the reason why I'm leaving it like this, we could actually carry on and simplify even more, but before you spend some more time on it, how much time you invest in the problem does not just depend on the problem itself. That's the mistake a lot of people make. How much time you invest in the problem depends on two things. It depends on the problem itself, obviously, but it also depends on how the answer choices are presented to you. As you look at the answer choices, I see 100 appearing in every single answer choice, and we have 100 appearing in our answer choice. I don't want to mess with that. We'll simplify this if we have to, but if we don't have to, then that's it. This is our punchline. This is the answer. This is the punchline, as I always call it. All we have to do is now go through every single answer choice until we find something that gives us this answer. Wherever we're going to see k, we're going to replace it with 10. Wherever we see m, we're going to replace it with 5. See, let's see what happens. That's it, we found the answer. Answer choice A says k over m. A says k over m. Forget about the percentage sign, because this is the percentage. When we were solving the equation, when we set up the equation, the question was this amount is what percent of 10. This is the percentage. So the percentage sign here does not actually play any role for us. It's just k over m is what we're interested in. K is 10, m is 5, m is 5, k is 10. That's just 2. We're not looking for 2, we're looking for 500 over 105. B says k minus m. That's not going to do it. K minus m is just going to be 5. K minus m is going to be 5. That's not going to do it. Let's look at C. C says 100 times k minus m over 100 plus k. 100 plus k. This is where you have to slow down. Make sure you keep your k's and m's separate. Otherwise you're going to mess it up. So we have 100 times k minus m. K is 10. 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So far so good. We got 5 times 100. 5 times 100. Top matches perfectly. We just have to make sure the bottom matches. 100 plus k. K is 10. Damn it. That does not match. This 100 plus 10. We have 100 and plus 100. We have 100 plus. We have 105. This says 100 plus k. What we need here is 100 plus m. So if we can find another answer choice which says 100 plus m instead of 100 plus k, we are done. Let's look at next answer choice. D says 100 times k minus m, same as before, k minus m, so that's a good sign, k minus m, that's same as before, and 100 plus m, what do you know? 100 plus m, instead of k, we have m, voila! So instead of 100 plus 10 at the bottom, we're going to have 100 plus 5, which is 105 right there. It's going to be 100 times k minus m, which is 10 minus 5, which is 5, over 100 plus m, which is 5. And we end up with 100 times 10 minus 5 is 5, so we end up with 100 times 5 over 105. That is precisely what we're looking for. Voila, that's your answer. That's it, we're done. Forget the mumbo jumbo of the algebra. You understand? Just plug in numbers and that's all there is. So one more time very quickly, we started out by plugging in the share initial price of 1000. We pretended that they went up by 10%, hence making it 1100. We pretended that the initial earnings per share was $100, and then it went up by 5%, which in other words are m. We plugged in 5 for m and 10 for k, making it 105. And then you simplify now, ask yourself what was the initial ratio. Initial ratio was 1000 over 10, 1000 over 100 rather. The ratio that they're talking about is a ratio of the price of the stock over the earnings per share. That is 1000 over 10, 1000 over 100. So we started out with the initial ratio of 10. This is a new ratio, 1100 over 105. And we broke down 11 over 105 where can I do it? Let's do it with all the answer choices that were wrong. C was wrong, so let's erase that part. So the new ratio was 1100 over 105, which we broke down as 1050 plus 50 over 105. And this part is 10. That's the beginning part. We started out with 10, which means the change must have been this part. 50 over 105 is the change that they're looking for. That is our answer. That is our answer in the absolute amount. And then we have to figure out what does that represent in terms of percentage of 10. So this amount is what percentage of 10? The answer is this part right here. We did that already. And then you just match with the answer choices that they give you. Just take your time. That's all there is. Alright? I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.